Somewhere contaminating atmosphere and blackening the sky. It's Good News Week. Someone's found a way to give the rotting dead a will to live, go on and never die. Have you heard the news? What did it say? Who's won that race? What's the weather like today? It's Good News Week. Families check the need for coal by stimulating birth control. We're wanting less to eat. It's Good News Week. Doctors finding many ways of wrapping brains in metal trays to keep us from the heat.
Hi there, I'm Dr. Marianne Gafurian, Dr. Mag, and this is the first time that I have broadcast to you on this channel, the Return to Origin. This is a very exciting moment for me because we're right here on the Thursday, the 19th of May, 2 days away from that predicted rapture, which is the beginning of the end of the world, on the 21st of May 2011, to be followed by the destruction of the universe according to Harold Camping and other prophets of doom in October of this year. Very strangely, we're finding that the prophets of doom are often so much connected to biblical injunctions and also with some celebration that the end is nigh because Jesus is returning and this faithful will be saved and there's nothing to worry about if you are on the right side, the right hand of God. I've had my suspicions about these predictions for a long, long time. Personally, I do not suggest at all that the world is going to end on the 21st of May. Through my research, I have come to the conclusion, however, that there are elements on this planet that want you to believe the world is going to end and want us to slip into a psychic state of fear and inner paralysis so that we become unable to defend ourselves from basically psychic hordes overcoming us, and in the loss of our sovereignty as individuals and as collective communities, we will no longer have the will to live. But more importantly, what will be lost to us is the very intense necessity which is inbuilt into us to contact the primordial source within us, and that is why we are here, in order to make that reconnection, why we exist in what is often described as the state not to be in and the dimension to slip away from as fast as possible. That is the third dimension. Now, the third dimension has a lot of negative rap, and it's not actually the third dimension anyway, but it's called 3D. 3D being the flesh and blood life that we live as human beings in a material existence, which means we are made up of the material of flesh and blood, as if that is something negative. In fact, that is part of the disinformation. I want to make that clear. It is part of the disinformation. The goal is not to leave 3D. The goal is, in fact, to reach into the primordial source within ourselves, have it come alive to our senses, to our perceptions, to our consciousness, to be able to imbibe our ever-present reality, the primordial state, which means we have a collapse, as it were, of all of the dimensions of consciousness, however far-ranging you may imagine them to be, or that you may have heard they are, that all of these dimensions collapse or implode back to zero. That is the zero point. The implosion action, or the stage of implosion when it occurs, is the moment of your and my liberation. Liberation comes from imploding. Imploding has a physics about it, and Dan Winter has constructed aspects of that physics which are also available through other researchers, which I won't go into at the moment so as not to detract from the message I want to give right now. However, implosion is the collapsing of the ego state, the superego state, the supraconscious, the subconscious, the independent, the personal and collective supraconscious and collective subconscious, as well as the personal subconscious, into the superconscious state, which is origin and which is primordial. Now, how to attain that or how to achieve it has always been the directive of every single genuine shamanic practice, every single genuine journey of the hero or of the seeker after truth, of the mystic, of the so-called metaphysician, although mainly that term has been co-opted by individuals who are dualists and therefore cannot possibly attain what I'm speaking about. What I'm speaking about is the perennial journey. It was also part of natural philosophy before natural philosophy was subsumed and overtaken by the Dominican, Franciscan and papal priests during the years of the Inquisition, and eventually became our Western understanding of philosophy and also medicine and sciences, which dualistically and purposefully fragmented and tore away from the past, the ancient past, out of which this knowledge had come to instigate their own inventions of the mind, of the new mental space, which became what I call the Western mind space container, and that connection for us was lost. And as that connection for us was lost, this is why in this so-called end times we have inherent in the Western psyche now a desire for doom and death, and that is why we have these prophecies of destruction and death, because there is a death wish which is being inculcated into the Western psyche, and I speak of the West because that is out of Judgement, and that implosion which is leading to death and destruction is what we are witnessing right now. So it's a bit like an avalanche of a mountain that has been built, a mountain of the mind that has been built on sand, not on solid structure, in fact on very much the shifting sands of greed, colonization, of usurping other cultures and civilizations and stealing their riches, their treasures, killing every pure dragon of knowledge in order to create a new hegemony based on a dragon lineage of falsity and hatred and destruction. And the loss has happened with the very ancient knowledges which were always inherent in us and exist still at the innate and primordial level. You can say at the DNA level if you like. However, the DNA is a conduit and a holder as well of the prismatic lattices of this information that I'm speaking about, and it does exist inside you primordially if you can reach it. However, it is overlaid with so much toxin and falsity, lies, deception, trauma, victimization, inheld false knowledge and separation and jarring away from the primordial source and from that central intact intelligence that now we are in the so-called end times, and we attempt to reach into that knowledge and grab hold of it because we know we need to have a solid vehicle, we need to have solid ground foundations in which to exist. We may say, right, those foundations are not material, and yet they are material because they exist in your carbon reality, they exist in your flesh and blood, and you need your central nervous system and every single part of your cellular life in order to bring forth out of your mind, your mentality, your intelligence and your consciousness the right direction in which to live. Otherwise you will lose completely and utterly the intelligence of what it is to be the most amazing, extraordinary, incredible life force incarnation on this planet, this extraordinary experiment of which we are all a part of. Wherever we deem our original sources were from, or wherever we imagine they're from, we have to take grasp and a grip on that here we are, and we have this and have had this amazing opportunity, and mainly we have burnt from under our feet very knowledge and information that we needed in order to survive. So no, I do not by any means think that the world is going to begin its destruction process on May the 21st. That destruction process in a psychic sense, and after all, psychic sense is what eventually shows itself in terms of your action or anybody's action. But it happens psychically, it happens at the soul level, it happens to the spirit and to the primordial essence when it is gravelled into, scoured down into as beings and individuals who have wanted to usurp all of the powers of creation for themselves. They have in fact destroyed that connection ultimately inside themselves in order to launch their audacious and ransacking ideas of being able to mount up as gods themselves and overtake creation. They in fact have destroyed the very foundation of their connection back to their own primordial source, and in doing so they have doomed themselves to extinction. But that need not be your or my destiny. Why I'm saying this today is, as mentioned, the 19th of May 2011. Those forces on the planet that would like your demise and my demise in order to create their new world or their new creation, have also at the same time spread so much disinformation and misinformation, while they as well have been feathering their own nests as they have been moving up into mountains and into places where they consider safe when the shit hits the fan. If you follow Dutch Sense on YouTube, and if you haven't, you should go and see what he's been doing. He has been following very meticulously as an individual, just searching out the correlations of HAARP with Fukushima, with weather control weapons, and with taking it further, nuclear devices, which are being used right at this moment to create a planetary situation of destruction, food sources of destruction, of all of the infrastructure that we need to survive. At the same time, while we become aware that, for example, the military and the government were buying up all the dry food sources in many states in America, and we are aware of underground bases, we are aware of possible off-planet places of refuge, which the shadow military has created. Several astrophysicists have come out with that knowledge. I've been personally in contact with a family of a high microbiologist in the Australian government who worked for NASA. He is really very close to his death now. He's an old man at this stage, and he entered the underground base in the American Embassy in Canberra in Australia, and also on a couple of other locations. And we cannot doubt that these places where so-called elite can escape to while you and I are left on the surface, we cannot doubt this exists. It does exist. It is real, and we have to ask ourselves if this uncovering of HAARP weaponry, weather modification for profit and for the harming of other people, and for profit and for feathering their own nests and for making sure of their own survival while giving misinformation to the public and hiding the true motives of what's going on, yet leaving everything in plain sight but without any explanation, and leading it up to individual researchers and slowly building, I'm glad to say, communities who are beginning to put together their resources and their understanding so that they can save themselves, or at least begin to come to an intelligent understanding of what's going on and why. My purpose here, as mentioned, is to say if there is an event on March the 21st or May 21st, 2011, it will not be from Comet Elenin, it will not be from Nibiru, it will not be because God is bringing about the rapture and the Bible said it so. It will be because there are human beings who are using the past information to bring about a self-fulfilled prophecy or self-fulfilled prophecies based on many texts which were speaking about, for example, tragedies and calamities that happened a long time ago. However, they are being repurposed right now for you and I to lose the plot, lose our grip on reality, and succumb to their plot of extermination for some, for most, and continuation for a few. So don't fall into the trap. Need is a reconstruction of the human being away from the death and destruction, willing, which is being settled into the psyche as if it's natural. I visited the video shop the other day, and while I was looking for something to take out for the night, I took a few pictures of the shelves. And this is what your kids, your teenagers, your neighbours are watching every night of the week. And this is a steady poison, a steady toxic drip on the mind, on the heart, on the soul, and on the psyche, which has been going on for decades and decades and decades. And it is all meticulously planned. It is not an error. It is not happenstance. It is not coincidence, and it is not synchronicity. It is intelligently guided history. And that becomes the upturned triangle, which to a lot of people is the symbol of the Illuminati. The symbol that we see with the upturned triangle, the pyramid, borrowed from the Egyptian pyramids, is space-time and history. And this so-called elite has grabbed the central axis. The central axis is your central nervous system. And that central nervous system has been grabbed by an idea or a trajectory of history. And that trajectory of history is what's leading humanity down a funnel or down a tunnel to a singularity which ends in the demise of most, and that's land. So you have to replace history, false history, with a renewed sense of your connection back to yourself, which begins with the detoxification of your being. Part of that is by beginning to recognize that we have been fed toxic drink, toxic, unnutritious diet of mental, imaginative, educative, religious, psychological, and psychic poison for as long as we can remember, because it's been in all our lives. This is the Return to Origin, and I am really pleased to be able to speak with you for the first time, and I really look forward to speaking with you again. This is Dr. Marianne Gafurian, and this is the Return to Origin, the return to the primordial.